I started 12 companies, and including a 1,300 employee organization. And every time I wanted to know how to make my company not only just successful, but growing and scalable. And I was thinking about what differentiates good team from bad team, because the success comes from the team. We all know that. So how to scale this manager's skills, how technology can detect and develop leadership skills. Can technology do this? And we all know this old notion about that people are living not jobs, they're living bosses. And so what is the toxic manager? Who is this toxic manager? Can we in scale automatically understand across our team and organization this such type of behavior? And that's how we created this technology called Yva.ai, which is secure and ethical predictive people analytics. Today, I would like to describe our 4 years job and what we've done, what results we achieved, and how it helped our clients to improve retention, to improve leadership, agility, and inclusion. What is Yva? Yva is a unique combination between so-called active feedback analytics and passive feedback analytics. All of them, all of you guys, I'm pretty sure, are using in your corporate life active feedback analytics. It's regular surveys, employee surveys, engagement surveys, feedbacks, one-on-ones, 360s. Please raise your hands who is in your organization or is using regular surveys. 100%. Who is doing that 2 times a year? I would say 50. Who is doing that on monthly basis? Okay, 3, 4, 5. So why I'm asking? Because we know the problems coming from regular traditional surveys. They're not real time. They're not agile enough. Our business today needs agility. And we cannot improve something which we cannot measure, correct? So that's why we combined that classic active feedback analytics with something different, and different called passive feedback analytics. Passive feedback is something, that data which already resides in each of your companies. And that is digital interactions and digital collaborations between your employees. That combination makes it a unique, real-time, and objective. So it's important to immediately notion that when we're talking about digital collaboration tool analytics, we should know that this data never leaves your company perimeter, first. And second, it's very ethical. These technologies do not analyze the content of the messages and posts in your corporate data collaboration tools. It just analyzes metadata of communication, who is working on which project, in which channels in Slack, in Microsoft Teams, in Jira, GitHub, in Salesforce, in Office 365, in G Suite, in all different collaboration tools. So metadata only, no content, and data resides in your corporate perimeter. This is important, okay? Now, so you'll ask me, okay, so what? Okay, so you design technology which actually analyzes this corporate relationship between employees, corporate interactions. How did you come up? How do you come up with something, some outcomes with? It's billions of data. And so some people start workday in the morning, some people afternoon. Does it mean something? No. Of course, every person has his or her own style and different. Some people are extroverts, some people are introverts. So what did we do? We said very simple hypothesis that when people before people leave companies, their engagement with the companies becomes lower and lower, and it becomes kind of zero at the day when person leaves the company. That is label. Label for deep learning technologies. Okay, why not to take thousands of people, thousands of employees, 3-year tracks, and first 2 years before people didn't think about resignation, and submit to this neural network as a technology, as a sample of not resigning person. And the last 12 months as an example of person who leaves the company. And bingo, it happened. It was our significant surprise. Well, we had this hypothesis, not a surprise, but we so pleased to say that we found this. We created neural network which now is trained and pre-trained to detect different changes in corporate communication, corporate collaboration patterns, predicting first frustration zone, then early burnout zone, when the person becomes passive candidate. This person doesn't actively looking for a job, but actually open for offers, and the late burnout, when actually the person starts looking for a job. Why we did it? Because we want to help, and we do help companies to retain key employees. We help companies to improve retention by predicting, sometimes 12 months before people resign, that something bothering them, something is going on. So please jump in and fix it. Please make your people happy, make your employees happy, your leaders happy. So those are some charts, scientific charts. I will not spend time right now. So anyone who wants to learn more about scientific part, please go ahead, and we will be happy to share our billions of data points and our experience in that. But from the user perspective, from the customer, this is what we have. My partner Brent is here, and we have this self-generated PDF, this thick report, which your company actually can receive automatically based on that data. And it will show different things. First, leadership. The system automatically separates all and classifies all leaders in your company, informal and formal leaders, in this matrix. On the upper axis, you see orientation for people. Upper is higher orientation, is below is low, and horizontal is a level of control. Low control here, high control here. So you see 6 styles of management. That's nicknames of this management. Don't pay attention. Some people, someone doesn't like to be called dictatorial or detached leader, but this is our internal scientific name for that lower end corner. People, managers who are less oriented to their coworkers, to their subordinates, and just don't control the situation, not have low graph centrality. They're kind of a little bit far detached. And dictatorial on the lower right, they high control, micromanagement, but still don't pay attention for employees' development and well-being. Transformation and agility solution based on this unique platform. This solution helps to overcome business transformation and digital transformation in each company. Please raise your hands who works for a company over 10,000 employees. So maybe more than half of this audience is connected to the company with large organization. So obviously your organizations are doing M&As, are transforming and trying to become more agile. What means agility? Agility means self-empowerment. Informal teams. How can you detect, how you can measure? Remember, Lord Kelvin, who is 100 years ago, said this word: you cannot improve something you cannot measure. So if you want to improve agility, first of all, you need to be able to scientifically measure your agility. So how? And the answer is this. The answer is specific patented ONA, which we have built, which automatically understand with these collaboration patterns across your organization, cross-functional, self-empowered informal teams. So the agility index is the percentage of your employees in this department who belong to cross-functional self-empowered team. And you not only can count this percentage and measure it as a corporate agility measure, but also you can see who is informal leader in each of that informal team. It comes from graph centrality science, which is also available with one button, auto-generated report, which generates such technologies. So we help companies before transformation, during transformation, and after transformation. How do we help companies before transformation? If you will read this slide carefully, some CEOs' notions, what should be done differently now if they would start transformation processes, again, they would say one of the things is who is actually should start transformation. So people and teams who are more acceptive to the changes and more influential. That is your core, your team, which you should rely on to start your transformation. With Yva.ai technologies, you can identify automatically across thousands of people and teams, hundreds of teams in your organization, who are those who are more acceptive, upper right corner, acceptive to the changes and more influential. Okay, so during transformation, you will see how it goes. You will see situations when some silos, some teams are less attached to other things. And again, you will see some other details which I will probably skip now. I mentioned this self-generated report. This is a fantastic tool which will help you understand what is happening in the organization in scale without asking any questions. It's a passive data analytics. It means it leverages that information which already exists. Look at this case. With Yva.ai technologies, I'm saying Yva.ai technologies. However, frankly speaking, I'm not pretty sure today with such things could be generated. At least I don't know any other technology which can do today this. But I think as a scientist that I definitely something I don't know. So anyway, with Yva.ai technologies, you can see immediately who belongs to the red zone, late stage of burnout in your organization. Okay, 32%, good or bad? Okay, it's actually okay because it's almost the average situation in many different industries. But the problem is not here. The problem is here. Look at this. Here is called engineering. When you break down these red, yellow, green zones across all your departments, you will figure out that actually one department, engineering department, contributes almost all red zone employees in your organization. Wow. So actually, we don't need to spend our time to all that departments, which we should jump into this department and see what's happening. 60% of that department is actually in red zone. Okay, what else is, the question, so what? It's all analytics is about so what. Analytics is trash unless it gives you prescriptions and recommendations what to do. So what do I do? This is actually part of this self-generated report. So look at this. Before March 2019, that engineering department was actually on 20% red zone. It was okay, much better actually than average company. This is average company. But something happened in March 19. It became immediately. You know what happened? This is a real case. Actually, when they saw this, they said, we know what happened here. We assigned a new manager right 2 months before that. And that manager actually was a very, very respected person who was working with the company for many years, but he was not ready. He did wrong decisions. And what happened? They lost a lot of people. So this is how passive feedback analytics, which can immediately look back to what was historical, which is not possible with active data, with surveys. You cannot receive last year's service if it didn't do that last day's service. Here, you have this data. You have that data right now on your servers. So you can see immediately what happened in the past. And it will show you what to change. You can do the same on geography level, on gender level, on tenure, on anything else, all kinds of people. This is why it's important, because it's the inclusion part. So we must think about do all our kinds of people are equally happy, equally engaged and empowered. So again, security, privacy, all data of that technology must reside in your perimeter, and everything should be GDPR compliant, and most companies are using these technologies in opt-in, with opt-in feature, so employees actually actively opt in and allow the system to get passive feedback. Why they do this? Because each person receives his or her personal dashboard, which allows them to get promoted fast, allows them to grow faster, because it gives them personal nudges and personal recommendations how to grow. So that I wanted to present, actually first time in this new technology, and get your judgment and get your feedback. What do you think about it? Whether it may help you or not. We have 10 minutes for questions and answers. Please go ahead. Thank you.
So you mentioned that you don't analyze content, but rather you analyze metadata. Can you elaborate a little more on what metadata you look at? What are some of the factors that you take into account?
Metadata is something which is written on the envelope, who sends message to who and when. That's it. No even subject line. I can tell you a little more details. Can system analyze content? Yes, a system can. So if our clients actually want to get much more from that, so they open this envelope, allow system to open the envelope and get semantic labels. For example, did this message contain task? David, please send presentation by Monday. Or didn't. If it found this, it will put label task or praise. John, thanks for your fantastic presentation. Praise label. Or some other labels, agenda, meeting meetup, so meeting recap. So semantic labels can be extracted, put on the envelope, then the content will be destroyed. So system never stores the data. So just you to know that potentially, yes, many clients are getting much more signals from the communication and collaboration, but on default mode, no content, just metadata. Who sends message to who and when? With the consent of the employees. Yeah, please.
Hi, Saf Shakha. I work at Square. Just a quick question. So managers are rated across multiple spectrums, it seems. Imagine if for a certain company, their culture is such that most managers fall in, let's just say, one of those quadrants or six or whatever you want to call those. Is there any analysis that's done, say, for example, for acquisitions, mergers, or just comparative to benchmark for industries, what that looks like for each company culture comparatively to some sort of aggregate? So, say, for example, most of our managers tend to be dictatorial. Is that good or bad compared to a benchmark or something else?
Yeah.
How would a merger acquisition work if that was different?
We do industrial benchmarks in that industries where we have already enough data, and this is very, very important. By the way, just in case someone is interested to try it, we just send a message. It doesn't say right. Say David Y before @ It's my address. So David Y, Yva.ai @Yva.ai. So you send a message, but please mention now an amount of employees and this PAFOW name. So because I don't read all emails, but just in case I will see the subject, I will reply. I promise, and we may provide you with some kind of trial. But anyway, so yeah, I saw some. So any questions on, please go ahead, yeah.
On the example you were showing up there for the engineering company, you were showing that, okay, here's something that happened. Now, are you looking at that in the past, or is this a real-time thing that you would see that graph crossing there at some point in time? And when I'm looking at the data that you need, how much historical data do you need to generate something like that so I could get a report in 14 days?
Okay, that report was historical. So this client did install the system recently, and they immediately saw the history of what happened with the company in the past. But it's going forward. It's also generating the same reports. So the answer to your question, yes, you can do both historical and going forward. From the point of view how much data we need to generate these reports, 8 months. So 8 months of collaboration data is used to the neural network as a baseline. So for each employee, system learns the style of, the personal style. So starting from month 9, system starts predicting red zone, yellow zone, and green zone.
And are you looking at, basically, you're saying you're just looking at the metadata for the emails? Is that basically what you're looking at?
Metadata of Slack, Messenger, Teams, email client, or Jira, or GitHub, or Salesforce, any corporate collaboration tool. So with the employee consent and without reading the content. Yeah, please.
This topic of a toxic manager is very interesting. Just curious, you get this one time. How do you communicate this to the manager, or do you communicate this to leadership?
Yeah, toxic managers. That is really important. Look, it's probably can do it on a separate, more smaller meetings. By the way, we are hosting today the dinner. My colleague Ewing here. So just in case someone wants to learn more on the dinner, I can give more signs. So you should see where is the location, on the left side or on the upper left side or lower right. So lower right side are the managers who are less attached, if not saying detached. On the upper left, they're hypos and strong natural leaders. So the diameter shows graph centrality across all organizations. So, and the color denotes the situation of red zone and a burnout situation. So, for example, this department is customer success. All customer success is burnt out here, and it works only on this project. These names are actually generated by the system. It's not each horizontal line is a cluster of communications, informal team. So they actually have numbers. But also a neural network generates some nickname for this cluster just for, so it says that this customer success work with this C6 cluster, but doesn't work, for example, C4 cluster or C3 cluster, which is problem because actually the top management of this company actually wanted them to work with that. But what they saw that actually customer success is not involved. The same happened with here. For example, the production and engineering worked with one clusters, but didn't pay attention to others and were not client-centric. So that treasure, it's 6-dimensional map. It shows a lot of things in the organization. But toxic managers, answering your question, is the position of the circle in this graph. Please go ahead. How what?
How do you test the accuracy?
Test it. Okay, testing is on retention part is very simple. Past resignations. So you ask Yva to predict who was going to resign last year without telling Yva who actually resigned. So you ask Yva to predict blindly who should have been resigning last year, and you compare.
And the burnout, the current employees?
For
the current employees? The current one.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you feed Yva with 1,000 employees without historical tracks, collaboration tracks, and don't tell who actually resigned, and ask, tell me who was going to resign last year. And then you compare prediction versus actual, in fact, resignations of last year. So you can immediately see false positive, false negative, true positive, true negatives.
Hi, thanks for your talk. I had a question about the model. So how do you figure out what would be the most important predictors of burnout?
Oh, what's the most important predictor of burnout? That is interesting question. System is using 40 major features and some hundreds of derivated features. So no single feature is contributing significant accuracy. You have to combine a lot of them. But the fun is when we ranked all features, like 20 major contributors to the prediction, one contributor suddenly was number of new threads on Friday. Not the early messages, not the late messages, so not Sunday messages, which we had hypothesis that if people kind of think about resignations, their pattern overtime working or weekend working will become different. No, actually, interesting. Again, it's an observation, but it's not explanation, because it's a neural network which actually was trained on factual data of people who resigned. Okay.
All right.
That's a good.
Last question.
Oh, that's a good topic. So if you want to come to the dinner tonight and you're a geek like I am, I'm from the IBM AI research team. We're co-hosting the dinner. When I found out from David that engineering was the most burned out function, I was not surprised. When I found out that women over 55 are the most burned out cohort, I knew I didn't know that from any other piece of information we could gather. So you want insights, if you want to dig deeper in some of these learnings, that's what we'll be discussing at dinner. We have room for about 5-6 more seats. I'll be at the booth next time we have a break. Just give me your email address and you'll have the address if you want to come. And we're just here to learn. We think this is fascinating because it requires very little effort on you to actually get this kind of insight. And that balance is hard to achieve in the market today. That's the way we see it. So if you want to join us, let me know, and we'd be happy to have you.
Great. That almost counts as dinner and a show then, is the offer. So thank you, David, everyone. If we can give him a round of applause.